What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Starkmac, MovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today I'm going to talk about Babygirl, or Babygirl. My screen reader has a really hard time with this movie. Every time I have to read the title to this movie, my screen reader sounds like it's having problems. Like, Babygirl, Babygirl. It's just like... Anyway, but for purposes of the review, I'm just calling it Babygirl. Uh, instead of the other. This stars Nicole Kidman, Harris Dickenson, Antonio Banderas, and it's being released by A24. It's provided for my consideration, sadly without audio description. But this is a film that's running a campaign solely, basically on Nicole Kidman, although it did get, what did it get, AFI or NBR? Like top 10? So did Queer, though. I think Queer and Babygirl. Anyway, something like that. It got somewhere got a top 10 nomination. And it feels very much like Nicole's sort of like driving the film. And the film it reminds me of some other stuff that we've seen recently, like Fair Play. It's being compared a lot to 50 Shades of Grey, which really makes me want to see this film with audio description. Because there are sex scenes in here. Obviously, I don't know how graphic they are, or how how boundary pushing the sex scenes are, I guess you could say. I don't know how to say that appropriately, but so yeah, I don't know what she has these specific needs and wants. She has a hard time communicating them, and she's married to Banderas in the movie, and it's an interesting relationship, an interesting dynamic that they have. She's also, like a boss lady herself, and Harris Dickenson plays this younger man that works for her, and they sort of start up this relationship, and it gets kind of complicated, but for various reasons. It was an interesting movie to try to follow. And I certainly, for Harris Dickenson, compared to Blitz, like, this is like, if I had to pick a performance for him this year, I mean, he has way more to do in Babygirl. This wins. So, but still, he just feels like he's there to support Kidman, and he doesn't necessarily have any of the strong moments that Banderas has. Banderas has a great scene in here that is like like a FYC moment if you're going to go for a supporting actor from the film, that Dickinson just really kind of lacks. He doesn't even have the emotional range of, I'm thinking like a similar performance that reminds me, other than Fair Play from last year, reminded me a lot of Daryl McCormick and Good Luck to You, Leo Grande from last year, opposite Emma Thompson. And he brought a lot of depth to that character, and there's certainly a similarity here in the dynamic and in the relationship of a younger man and an older woman, and sex, and talking about it, and the wants and desires. And I think most people would not want me to say that I think I won't say it for sure because I need audio description. Like, my grade for this is going to be unwatchable due to lack of audio description, just a heads up. But I really loved Good Luck to You, Leo Grande, and that was in my top 10 for the year that it came out. And I've seen that movie twice already, and the performances stay with me. And I didn't immediately get that vibe from Babygirl. Granted, I didn't have it with audio description, so the second time through could resonate with me. But for all the people who were talking about 50 Shades of Grey in their reviews, I was thinking I feel like we just did this with Good Luck to You, Leo Grande, but all they're doing here is they're giving her a husband. Like, they're sort of putting a power dynamic into it, a little bit by having them like work together instead of him being um, like a sex worker. But there's very much that sort of push and pull between the two, and the uncomfortability of asking for and being okay with, and the younger person is all about, consent and tell me what you need, I'll tell you what I want, like the back and forth. And she's sort of old school, and a little bit less of, she's not as used to that kind of open dialogue. So, which parallels a lot of what Emma Thompson was doing in Good Luck to You, Leo Grande. So, um, I'm interested to see. I know people are like, this is an A24 film. It's brilliant. I'm sure it is. That's what I'm saying. I'm not saying this is the worst film. They could be equally good. But I've heard 50 Shades of Grey in a couple of reviews, and I'm just like, come on now. We can do better than that. So I'm going to compare it to a better film, and also Fair Play from last year, which it also, I got a tinge of that, maybe because of the business aspect of it. I don't know. But there's not that age difference in Fair Play. But with this, with Leo Grande, there is. So, the only thing I struggle with Nicole Kidman is I'm not sure this is her best performance, ever, or even close to it. I think she's been fantastic in some other things. And she works a lot. She's been in everything this year. I mean, this woman is everywhere. Jesus. You can watch Babygirl while watching Linus. you can pop on her Netflix limited series that she did, where she was the author. I forget the name of it. I reviewed it. You can pop in her movie that she did with Zac Efron, also for Netflix. You can pop on Spellbound, where she's a voice, also on Netflix. She has so many titles this year. And she had that, I can't remember if it was this year or last year, but she had the show on Amazon too, where she was the the foreign diplomat or whatever, in that drama. Expats. I knew it comes to me. Some people, the sighted people, they're always looking at their fucking IMDb pages and they're pulling, which is why they're able to say everybody's name and everything. I'm doing all this from memory. That's true pop culture knowledge, is when you can actually remember everything with mind recall. Yeah, she's like ubiquitous, and because she's putting out so many performances, I'm like, I think this is maybe her best performance of this year. I'll give her that. But damn, I mean, she's a hell of an actress, and if I had to pick 5 spots, I don't know that I would go with Nicole, because I also really like to reward people who really truly are at their best performance or near the best performance. Have never been recognized before, seem to always miss out. Those kind of things. While I think it would be hilarious to see Pamela Anderson get an Oscar nomination, I don't think it's going to happen. I'd be much more inclined to say Pamela Anderson for The Last Showgirl, simply because that is literally the best thing she's ever done in her life. There's no question. There's nothing that remotely compares to that. It's like leaps and bounds. It reminds me of just a few years ago when we discovered that guy in Red Rocket could act. We're like, oh my God, he can act. It's like, oh, Oscar. Give him an Oscar nomination. Simon Rex. And it's like, that dude had nothing in his career previously that had any indication that he had dramatic range at all. And Sean Baker found it. So, I would feel better about it. Just sort of like, I didn't like the movie, but I really appreciated Ana de Armas for Blonde, because she acted her face off in that movie. The movie's not good, but she She's all over that movie. Um, yeah, this is just another Nicole Kidman performance, and I wasn't convinced that this is necessarily groundbreaking work from her, but I will watch it again with audio description. I'll give you a second look on that, just because I want to make sure that I respect the people who made the audio description track and be able to actually talk about the audio description track, and maybe it'll change my opinion and it'll solidify a grade. I actually did like Babygirl. Um, the problem is that I've seen things that are like this, and I've seen a lot of Nicole Kidman. Just Jesus. A lot of Nicole Kidman. So, yeah, grade is unwatchable due to lack of audio description, but my floating grade for Babygirl, I'm gonna say it's a B plus, but that means like it could go up to an A minus, down to a B. I usually try to give you like the mid of like where I'm sort of feeling the vibe of the film. It could go up to an A though. I mean, like there's a wider range there. It could go down to a B minus, but I'm trying to give you sort of like the mid of where I think that is. And audio description could end up shaping that. So we'll see when I do a second look on this, when it lands likely on max with audio description. So, but an interesting film. And certainly I love that A24 continues to pick up challenging works and push them out into theaters. And I hope they continue to do that, even if they're not all instant home runs. I appreciate that they're finding stories that it feels like other studios would not necessarily want to tell. So Neon's kind of doing the same thing. So I love that we're living in a time of A24 and Neon to be able to highlight those stories. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.